Hey everybody, I'm back again with a second episode of A Swell Life. I've got some pretty cool stuff to show you today, but before we jump into that, I wanted to take a step back and recap on the first episode, which was me buying a new watch. Just to let everybody know, I am still in love with the watch. I love everything about it. It is beautiful. I get a lot of compliments on it, and it's a real head turner for sure. For anybody that wants to watch that video, I'll put a little button on one of these sides and you can go check it out. It was a pretty fun adventure. I know it was something a little bit different, a little out of the ordinary, videotaping yourself buying an expensive watch, but I enjoyed myself and I wanted to keep it because it's not every day that you sink all of your savings into a watch. For anybody wondering, it is a 40 millimeter Rolex Day-Date, yellow gold, champagne dial with the baguette diamonds. So one of the things that I was thinking about I might do in these videos, I'll do it for this one, you guys let me know if you like it or don't like it, was I was going to let you guys know where I got my clothes and maybe some of the other accessories that I may be using. So I'll go ahead and start that now. So this jacket is actually part of a suit. You can buy them separately, the jackets and the slacks. This is from Express. So it's actually a pretty good suit for a budget. It's like, I want to say it's like $300 for the suit. This is kind of a dark red burgundy. Some people say it's brown. I personally think it's kind of a reddish color. I really like it though. It's different, it's unique. Definitely don't want it to be your number one suit, but maybe a third or a fourth suit, kind of mix it up a little bit. I'd probably start with a black or a blue suit if I only had one suit. Then my tie, you can only see the top of it right now, but the tie is Burberry tie. It actually is kind of expensive. The tie is almost as much as the suit. If I had to do it over again, I probably wouldn't buy it, mainly because of the fabric. I have two of these ties. One is kind of the traditional Burberry colors, and that one is just trashed. It's really hard to clean. Pretty much everything that gets on it stays, and it gets wrinkly, and it's just, I don't know, it's a weird material. I'm not a huge fan, but it does look good. It's a very, very beautiful tie. The shirt, just a simple Calvin Klein semi-spread collar. I'm a huge fan of the spread collars. It's a really nice, distinctive, masculine style. I really enjoy it. Watch, of course, my go-to, Rolex Day-Date. Ring, I've just got a little silver ring. I think it was $20. No big deal, but kind of adds character to you. Slacks, I actually am not wearing the slacks that go with this jacket. I'm just wearing some cheap black Calvin Klein slacks. You can get them from a Calvin Klein outlet for $20-30. And on my feet, I have some Hugo Boss black pointed toe shoes, dress shoes. I think I got them at Nordstrom Rack for like $200. So, it's not my cheapest outfit, not my most expensive. It's a good mid-range. But if you want to look good, it's going to cost a little bit, and especially for my size, I wear a 36 regular across the chest, which is an unusual size. Not a lot of American sizes have that, American brands that is. So I tend to shop a lot of foreign, Italian, German brands. So it gets a little bit more costly when you get into the foreign stuff. And I'm doing this video, I've been super swamped. I've been wanting to do a second video for a long time. I'm actually still here at the office. This is our temporary office while we're remodeling across the street. And this is actually not even my desk. I've got an office, mine's just trash. It looks terrible. So I figured I'd grab one of the cleaner desks to try and do this video. So the thing that I wanted to show you guys today is a hobby of mine that I got out of for a little while, and I've wanted to get back into it. It's been on my mind. So a couple of days ago, I decided, let's do this. Let's get right back into it. And what that hobby is is fountain pens. This is a very beautiful one. I don't know if you can see, it's got some designs and some engravings on it. It's very beautiful. There's the nib. It's just a masterpiece, really. A work of art that you can write with. How cool is that? So this particular one is actually pretty cheap. It's made by a company based out of here in North Carolina. I believe they're based out of Raleigh. Excuse me, my voice is cutting out. It's based out of Raleigh, and it's called Franklin-Christoph. I have quite a bit of their pens, quite a few of them. So here's probably my favorite one. It's a real head turner. Here's a red one, a gray one, an orange one. This one's kind of wild and different. And lastly, of my Franklin-Christophs, this is the first fountain pen that I ever owned. This one actually has a magnetic cap, and it is a broad nib, which puts more ink on the paper. It's thicker. Some people will even grind these down and call them a stub and just put tons of ink on the paper. It's a real smooth writer, and it's real beautiful. And I really like Franklin-Christoph for their design. These pens are stainless steel, very sturdy. But even more than that is the customer service. I don't know if I want to say customer service. I've never called them before, but they care about you. And the reason I say that, I had bought this pen and I was new to fountain pens. I was gung-ho, and I happened to be in the DC area, Washington DC area, and I found out that the Washington DC Pen Show, which happens to be the largest fountain pen show, I believe, in the world, was going on that weekend. So I go to the convention center, and I'm just loving it. Everything is so great. They're selling pens everywhere, and I find a Franklin-Christoph booth, and I'm like, wow, these are the guys that make my pen that I found on the internet. Let's go talk to them. So I went and talked to them, and the owner of the company, I can't remember his name, it's been so long, I was probably 18 years old when this happened, was there, and he was working the booth, and I said, hey, is there any way that I can order a new cap? Because I had scratched my cap pretty badly. And he said, well, we don't really do that. Can I see it? And I took it off, and he looked at it, and he grabbed his. He had one just like this, same color. He took the cap off of his pen and gave it to me, and I'll never forget that. That was a great sentiment, and I really appreciate it. So, wanted to get a little bit into fountain pens because I know a lot of people are not familiar with them. It's kind of a different thing. If outdated, it's kind of a novelty. And people that are into fountain pens will tell you, swear up and down, that it is the best way to write, the best writing experience. I think I agree with that. I've tried all kinds of pens. I've got just regular ballpoints. I've got this new hybrid, they call them gels, and even some nice roller balls. A roller ball is probably the closest thing that you will get to writing with a fountain pen without going full on. And roller balls are cool. They have a cartridge you put inside, just like a regular ballpoint. When you're in school, like middle school, you take your pens apart and you got those little tubes. It's basically the same idea, but it has more of a liquid ink in it, and it puts down more ink, so it's a little bit smoother of a writing experience. But the one thing that rollerball doesn't have in comparison to fountain pens is the experience you can have with the inks. And what I mean by that is you can literally find an ink for any color, they have all these different factors, and put it in your fountain pen. And just to show you a little bit about that, so when I open this up, inside I've got this cartridge. This is actually called a cartridge converter, and what this will do is this will house ink. any kind of ink that you want to put in this. There are a lot of different ways to fill it up, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me show you some of the inks that I have. So this is what a color called oxblood. It is a deep, rich red color. It's beautiful. It literally looks like blood. It's awesome. It starts off kind of this color if you go really deep, and it lightens up as you lay off the pen some. It's really cool. I've got a midnight blue, which is what I have in one of the pens that I'll be showing you today. And this is another color that I have. It's called gray flannel, and it is in one of the pens that I'm going to show you today. And so you get a really customizable experience. And what I mean by that is some inks will write better in some pens than other inks in other pens. So this is a medium nib. Maybe it needs something with a little bit thinner of an ink. Maybe my broad nib can use something a little bit thicker and lay it down nice and thick. And you can play with these things. If you've got a red pen, you can put oxblood red in it, and you just have so much play with it. Maybe I want to put blue in my red pen. I can do that, and it's just really fun, and can be, I don't know, it's just something different, and I really enjoy it. All right, to take a step back from what I was talking about earlier. So say we wanted to fill up this ink reservoir, if you will. And some fountain pens have other means of filling up the ink. Some have vacuum fillers, piston fillers, all kinds of cool stuff. This one is probably the most widely used because of its simple design. They actually will sell cartridges that are about that length that are pre-filled with ink, and they're kind of made of a plastic, and when you're done you throw them away and put a new one in. That's an interesting way to do it. There's not quite as much versatility with the inks like I was talking about, but it's a simpler way of doing things. Maybe if you're just starting out, that'd be the way to go. So this particular converter, it's kind of like a vacuum filler almost. So it's got this little twist piston that comes down. So when I first started with fountain pens, what I would do was I would dip this into the reservoir of ink and turn this up and suck the ink up. And I didn't really like that. It was a little bit messy. You would get some ink here and then you just had to clean it up, and it just was a little bit too dirty for me. You know, I'm a clean person. Another way to do that is to stick the nib into the reservoir and twist it up. And I believe the reason that some people do that is that so that ink is already in your nib and in the, what they call this part, the caterpillar. I believe that's why they do it, so that you can go ahead and start writing right away. Again, I didn't really like that. It's kind of messy. Some of the ink would get up on the grip portion, and I didn't love it. And then I found the way that I personally use, and you can get one of these. It's a syringe kit. You can get these online. I got this one from Goulet Pen or pens.com. The guy who runs this store, who sells all kinds of fountain pens, he has a YouTube channel. He puts tons of great content up. Maybe I'll put that in the description below. But all it is a simple syringe with a blunt needle. And what I will do is I will take this and put it in the reservoir, suck up a little bit of ink, and then with the piston pushed all the way back, I will put this in and put in the ink. And it's a much cleaner thing, a cleaner means of doing this, and it will, you know, the cleanup is minimal. I really enjoy this. Like most hobbies, there's a low end and a high end of doing things. Like I said, this is my first fountain pen. I don't remember exactly how much it was, but I want to say it was under $100. I'm pretty sure about that. It may have been even under $50. I cannot remember. But this is a lower end pen, and it works great. Then, you know, get up into some special editions. They get a little bit more expensive. And some of the pens that I have inked up are, this first one is a Visconti Rembrandt. It's in remembrance of Rembrandt the artist, and it's very beautiful. It's got some engravings on the side, Visconti here. It's got some, it's purple, I mean it's blue, but it has some, I don't even know what that's called, some different variation in the color, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And in this one I have the Midnight Blues Blue. The other pen that I have inked up is a Montblanc Meisterstück 144 Classique. I don't know if I'm saying those words correctly, they're German, but I try my best. This is a highly recognizable fountain pen. This emblem here is the Montblanc emblem, and it denotes the top of a mountain. This pen is 14 karat gold on the nib and gold accents. This is a smaller pen, and I really like it a lot. It lays down a heavy flow of ink, and it's a great writer. This is kind of one of the more notable brands of fountain pen. Is by no means the nicest or the most expensive, but it's a name that people recognize. I like to say it's like the Rolex of watches. My reason behind saying that is Rolex is a very nice watch brand, but there are much nicer and more expensive brands with more complex complications. But people know the Rolex brand and they appreciate it, and it is a great brand. Well, Montblanc is very similar. It's, like I said, it's by no means the most expensive or the nicest or the best fountain pen that there is, but it is a very good brand, and it's highly recognizable, and it's quality. So I wanted to write a little bit and let you guys see kind of the writing experience that fountain pens can afford. So first, I'll start off with my Montblanc. So like I said, this is a 14 karat gold nib, and the reason that gold is used is this is a softer metal and will form to the way that you write. And in this I have a Private Reserve gray flannel. As you can see, it's beautiful. It's very smooth, and it just rolls as fastly as I can write it, which may not be true for all fountain pens. Some do not lay down ink quite as fast as this one does. And this one has a medium nib. And now I'll show you the Visconti Rembrandt. And this one has a Midnight Blues ink, which happens to be a fast dry variation. And this one also has a medium nib. So I really like these pens because you can see, especially in the gray, there's some shading here, some there on the T and on the K, a little bit on the 4. There's some variation in the colors, and it shows more character. At first, when I started writing with fountain pens, I actually didn't like that aspect. I wanted it to be uniform and solid, much like a roller ball or a ballpoint would be, almost like a printed page from a computer. But as time went on, I started to appreciate that variation. It gives it more character and more personality. And when you start to realize that you live in a very digital world where everything is uniform, you want variation, you want to stand out and be different, and that's something that fountain pens can offer. It's, you know, right from the bat, when you pull this out of your pocket, it catches attention. You know, it's a huge pen. It's got a metal, silver or gold nib on the end, and it's just something different, and I really like it. So I'll write a little bit more with my Visconti. Well, thank you for watching my video on fountain pens. I hope you enjoyed it. I really implore you to look into fountain pens. You know, if you just spend $20 on a cheap Lamy fountain pen, it is really fun and really enjoyable experience. To me, fountain pens give off a feeling of distinction and refinement. You know, it's not every day that you see a fountain pen, and you know, they really grab your attention. You pull out a big old pen out of your pocket, you open it up, it's got this beautiful silver or gold nib attached to it, and then when you start writing, it is the most wonderful thing ever. It's great for signatures, for wedding invitations or thank you notes, and everyday writing. I use these pens every day, well, since I inked them up. You know, I told you I've been out of the hobby for a little bit, but they're great, and I really hope you enjoy this video and get you a fountain pen.